Hi, Leather Rokk here. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to bake some cookies today. Well, it's actually a little bit after 10 o'clock tonight, and you guys are going to watch. But since I touched my cat bungees on them, I got to wash my hands. So, you guys are in for a real double sweet treat tonight. They didn't draw blood. Tonight I'm making two different kinds of chocolate chip cookies, and to make it easier, I'm going to use two mixes, but I'm not going to stick to the recipe here. They're both by Betty Crocker. One of them is their complete chocolate chip cookie mix, and the other one is the brittle mix chocolate chip cookies. And because, one batch is just not enough. You get in a dozen cookies usually in a batch, and that's ridiculous. I can eat that real easy. And since I usually split it with my mother, then she'll be nice and she'll say that she only wants a few. But I love my chocolate, and if you're watching this, you probably do too. So, but I also have some nuts to add to them. Let me get them out. I've got some of these nuts are chopped and some of these are whole. I got a nice big bag of walnuts here. I got a little bit less than half a bag of pecans. And I have chopped pecans, chopped walnuts, chopped almonds, and chopped hazelnuts. So, and I got everything I need. But the first thing I'm going to have to do is preheat my oven. And the great thing is that the temperature is the same for both these mixes. The only thing is one of them has a slightly longer cooking time. And I have two different sheets. I have this one, and I have this one here that's a little bit warped because apparently my brother used it to bake a pizza on a couple of years ago. So at least I'll be able to do them both at the same time. Because, I just really... Oh, and the reason why I didn't go live last week is the day I was going to do the baking, it was so ungodly hot. I just could not bear the thought of adding even more heat in the house. It felt like it was over 100 degrees, and it was just maddeningly hot. So both of these say heat your oven to 375 or 350 for dark or non-stick cookie sheets. Well, they're both dark sheets. One of them is non-stick. So I'm going to heat the oven to 350. And I'm going to start my preparation here. Okay, for this one is a little bit less complicated because all this involves is a half a stick of butter and 1 tablespoon of water. And the butter is pre-softened. I set it out all day. I have this thing of butter here that's almost a full stick. And this thing of butter here, which is 2 sticks, 2 different brands. This is Challenge butter, which is actually one of the better brands out there. And this one, because it's not in its original box, I couldn't tell you what the brand is. But butter's butter. At least it's a real thing. So I'm going to open up this mix here. And this should be real good. I mean, how can you go wrong with chocolate chip cookies? And since I have these nuts to add to, now in the freezer I have some more chocolate chips, and I have chocolate and peanut butter pieces and different things. So I have enough supplies for the baking I'm planning to do. And at least once it cools off, it'll be more comfortable to do the heating up the house with the oven and everything. So with this, okay, all I need to do is add a half a stick of butter, and what I'll do is I'll go from the unopened side and I'll cut off a half a stick. I'm going to get a plastic knife. Now you know that I'm not going to probably be able to type anything in this stream since my hands are going to be covered with food. I'm going to break this off. It's really great that they have measuring things on the butter here. So all I have to do is go with the half. Oh no, the half is here. Okay. And this will measure it out here. I'll back up so that I get my full view here. It's nice and soft. I finally got some eggs, so when I want to bake a cake, I'll be able to do that. I hope I'm coherent enough for you guys. I only had like 2 hours sleep last night. I'm just on such a weird schedule. I tend to talk to people overseas on Instant Messenger till the wee hours. So I'm on more of an international schedule, actually. And I went without coffee for 4 days in a row. And I wasn't to the headache schedule, but I was definitely at the grumpy schedule. I mean, being out of pot's bad enough. But out of coffee and pot, that's, And, but we got a full, nice sized container of coffee, so we should be good for at least a month, I'm guessing. Now, all I have to do, this is 1 tablespoon of water. Okay. And you see how it's so important to have nice soft butter. If you had to wait for it to soften, or if it was firmer, this wouldn't mix too well. We mix it all on. Okay. Tablespoon of water here. I got to be careful not to touch my computer because it's balanced kind of precariously on this stand. I really like the quality of this new webcam, but I'm hoping that now I'm concerned about if this light is a little on the bright side. It does have a control on it, and I can dim it up some so that it doesn't wash out the look of my hair color. There. That's better. That really, when I go through the effort to re-dye my hair so that it looks, now that looks a little too not illuminating. There. So like I started to say, the fact that I had to add more color to it, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, I actually took a full week off. I do apologize for that. I really don't like missing a schedule, but it gets so terribly hot, and then sometimes my lack of sleep really catches up with me, and the combination of being sleep deprived and being so hot, and I'm taking 4 showers a day. It's that hot now. And I still haven't figured out how to transfer the data, the footage I took from that cell phone and get it into this computer so I could edit it up. And I probably am going to have to go and take a look at some YouTube videos to learn how to do it. I tried doing some searches, and trying to follow the list of directions, and they really weren't clear enough. I actually found some more footage from 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? Some Trump beach party, a Trump beach party here in Atlantic City. One of my good friends who lives in Washington, D.C. came down that weekend, and he did for me using his iPad. And when he first gave me the footage, everything was upside down, and I didn't know how to turn it right side up, because apparently it's not as easy to do it with video footage as it is with a picture. All you have to do is rotate it. So meanwhile, that was, what, 4 computers ago? And I was able to access links that I found that were deep in my Hotmail, and I look at them, and now they are right side up, so I would be able to very easily storyboard edit them. And I'm thinking, before it starts getting too chilly, I think they would be fun to post. And I still have all that Washington, D.C. footage that I haven't even edited up. So I would really like to add to my channel, and I will. I'm just kind of concerned that it's going to be confusing to people, that they're going to think that I was back in Washington, D.C. I haven't moved back to Washington since the pandemic. Okay, this is what this is looking like now. This doesn't look like much at all. Definitely smells like something has chocolate in it. But this is a ridiculously small amount. I'm not going to mix the nuts in with it. I'm going to add them to it once the cookies are put on the trays. And I'm going to use these. I'm going to put these in on this tray here, because the other mix, the brittle mix, is not put into individual cookies. It's spread out in a straight sheet, and then you break it up once it's spent some time cooling. So I'm going to obviously need something with lip edges for that. So. Oh, okay, this you're supposed to use rounded teaspoons to put these on the tray here, so that's what I will do. I want to make sure that the chocolate chips are evenly dispersed in with this, and also there's extra mix attached to this spoon here that really should be in with this, because I want to get approximately the same number of chocolate chips in each cookie if I can. And they say it should be slightly rounded or rounded. It just says rounded teaspoons, 1 inch apart, and it says it's an ungreased sheet, and they are ungreased. So this is what it looks like on the teaspoon measure. Hey, Anthony Tripp, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I don't trip out on the thumbs down. YouTube considers it engagement anyway. And they say you're not anybody if you don't have some enemies along the way. So I kind of am humored by the fact that people will take time out of their day to express their hate because they got nothing better to do. And I just think it's kind of funny. Or maybe it's somebody that has diabetes and they're miserable that they can't eat sweets. Heck, I would be kind of bummed out if I had to give this stuff up, you know, if I had to go through the trouble with monitoring my sugar levels and stuff. That seems like a real hassle. So, see, you put them on here an inch apart, and I had to close all my windows because we rained briefly, and that's kind of cool in a way because the dirtball bad people aren't hanging out when it's raining, but it only sprinkled a little bit and the rain stopped. So now the crackheads and the gangs are back out selling drugs across the street, and you know they like to hoot and holler and be obnoxious, and I didn't want to hear that, so I had to close the windows. And I had to turn the fan off here so that you can hear me since I didn't get that big microphone. I had a nice size microphone. It was about this big. They had a little pedestal on it, but I'm not getting it because the person who was supposed to order it didn't. So. And the thing is, that at least wouldn't have cost me anything. Now, if I get one, I'm actually going to have to pay for it, and that can't be my priority right now. I'm just going to have to remember to take one of these out earlier than the other, since the brittle one, that has a longer timing. Actually, I was going to do 2 batches of this and one of the brittle because I have an issue with Cassie, the longer haired cat, the one you can't hear. She, when I bathed her last month, she needed to be brushed, and hey, better late than never. But no, when Cassie has very seriously matted fur on the back on her back, and I cannot get a brush through it, and I am going to need another person to hold her down so that I could cut the mats out of her, because I found out that it costs at least $200 to take her to the vet to get her groomed. Somebody's going to have to use the electric clippers on her, and because she's a fidgeting cat, they might have to put her under anesthesia, and of course that costs money, and there's certain medical risks, considering that she's like at least 7 years old. I'm not sure exactly how old she is, because I think she's had at least 2 or 3 previous owners, and I'm guessing that none of them knew that she was deaf. I had her 2 years before we realized that she could not hear. So, and I was going to try to find somebody that would be willing to hold her down so that I could do the cutting of the hair off of her. And you need another person to hold her down because she's going to try to bite and stuff. I was going to go and get one of those Elizabethan collars to put around her head so that she couldn't bite me. They also call them the cone of shame, you know. And I didn't know how else I would do this. And then I'm thinking, where am I going to do this? Because I didn't want to bring people to my house. I still have stuff in my hallway that I want to donate to this cat rescue place that has a thrift store here. And I haven't gotten around to calling them to do the pickup yet. And I really don't feel comfortable just bringing people I don't know that well into my home, you know, plus especially considering I share this house with 2 other people. And so finally, at the last minute, my mother agreed that she would help me. And I mean, really, she would be best at holding. All she has to do is hold Cassie, both sets of Cassie's paws, and if she does that, then the cat can't scratch her. And then maybe if she uses her elbow or something, she could keep Cassie from biting me, because Cassie was trying to bite me. And the thing is, I always am very, very careful with my cats. Of course you would be. When you love somebody, you're very careful with them. But I can't spend $200 on the detangling thing. And I was going to give her a lion cut. And I think those look really stupid. But when somebody is seriously tangled like that, and if you don't do something about the dreadlock tangles that are on the cat, they're going to be pulling on the skin, hurting her. I know when I cornrow my own hair, and after a while, because I tend to leave my braids at like 4 months at least. And when they dread up at the scalp, it pulls the scalp and it starts to hurt, at least in the back. So imagine how a cat would feel. So it's really important that I do something about it. She is so hard and nappy in the back. And it's literally this, the fur is like this thick and it's really hard. And it needs to be cut out of her. And I tried seeing what I could do with the disposable razor, and that wasn't doing it. So I'm going to have to do this myself. You know, I'm on a real budget, and there's so many things that I need to get, equipment that I need to get to invest in this channel, and things I want to do for myself. And I want to get a cheap acoustic guitar, but it has to have steel strings, not nylon strings. That would make my songwriting a lot easier. And I'd like to get a mini Marshall. Well, it doesn't have to be Marshall. It could be another brand. Like there's Orange and there's Pig Nose. Something so that I can play my PV electric out of. I got cables for that. One of my friends who also plays guitar got a whole bunch of mic stands and equipment like that, and he says he's going to give me 2 mic stands. One of them I'll use with a microphone, another I'll use to attach lighting to. So things like that are a real investment in the channel. And I decided that if any bigger ticket items that I would be getting, I will try to see if I can't buy them in Delaware so I can avoid sales tax. I got a computer delivered to Delaware once when one of my aunts was still alive, who lived in Delaware. I'm thinking if I get any fancy skincare I'm not getting online, or anything involving my face, I think I'll get it in Delaware, one of those towns that's as close to the New Jersey border as possible. Because the sales tax really adds up, you know. Oh, well, you know what? That's one of the things that's important to me about being on YouTube. I know that everybody's so stressed out with the pandemic and whatever's going on in your lives, and people worrying about their health and worrying about current events and worrying about what's happening in our country and worrying about what's happening in the world. And you think about Afghanistan, you think about the illegal aliens, and you think about the good people overseas that really do deserve to come here, and you think about our military people and how hard they have it, and then you think about the top brass that are maybe being screw-ups, and you're thinking about all the things that there is to be concerned about. And I think people really need a break from the drama and the negativity, and that's one of the things that I hope to offer on my channel. And I noticed that the last couple of times I did baking tended to be on Tuesday nights, so I'm thinking I'm going to go with that. Tuesdays should be my baking time. Maybe I'll be doing some stovetop cooking too. I have a whole lot of canned pumpkin. I definitely want to do some things with that. I want to certainly do a lot of chocolate, and I love Chinese food. I love Asian food, and I want to learn some Persian cooking. I actually found a couple of channels to subscribe to get some ideas. So I'm going to be venturing out of my comfort zone and the things that I'm really familiar with. But I'm only going to do cooking related things maybe on Tuesdays, so that I never set out to do a cooking channel. That's just since I don't think that doing makeup tutorials does that well on my channel. And I feel bad for the original people that subscribed to me that maybe really missed that content. But when I look at the analytics on the channel, whoops, don't want to wear that, and those makeup videos do worse than any other kind of content I make. So it just makes sense for me to keep on doing them. And anyhow, I have over 100 videos like that. So the people that still like that kind of content, there's a whole lot of it already on my channel. And since I have things organized in playlists, you guys can binge watch any subject you want, really. But I also enjoy, as far as the live streams go, I really enjoy the political commentary. And I noticed that the more I do it, the more comfortable with it I get. And I wanted to do something about those top military brass and the things that they have been doing. And even though I'm not a veteran, so I feel very unqualified to talk too much about how I think it should be done. Anybody can be an armchair quarterback, but some of this stuff, Stevie Wonder could see that there was a lot of mistakes were made. And I think your average 5-year-old could have probably organized to pull out of Afghanistan better than was done here. And look at all those people that are still stuck out there. Well, I'm glad you did. As far as advance notice goes, since I don't have 1,000 subs yet, I don't believe there's any way to do this on YouTube. On Facebook, I can let people know, and usually I don't let them know till like maybe a half hour in advance or something. I intended to start this stream at 8 o'clock, which is a lot earlier than I usually start these streams. But then I realized I had to straighten up the kitchen, and there were some dishes that needed to be washed, and then they had to dry and be put away. And in different last minute things, like I saw that my recycling was really piled up, and I decided that since there was a window of opportunity where there was no bad people hanging outside, it was actually safe to leave the house. So I went outside, and since we don't have a safe place to take our recycling out, since we have one set of neighbors that complains about anything out there, even though they're not our bosses. And hey, Shar, how you doing? And it's technically against the law to use municipal bins to take out your trash or your recycling, but I don't have any other place to take them out. And since I can't use, there's a social service agency very close by that I used to take my recycling out, and they decided to put a camera on next to the recycling, and then I ended up getting yelled at by one of the guys. And then it turned out that they only recycle paper stuff. They don't recycle cans and bottles, and they actually asked me to just use their dumpster. And I will not throw out recycling. To me, that's just wrong. It's another form of pollution. I won't do it. And I ended up getting into a kind of bad words with the guy. And, you know, who needs that kind of negativity? No, I didn't get the knots out of the cat. I finally got my mother to agree to hold her down so that I could do it. I was about ready to go and make an extra batch of cookies and try to bribe somebody local to help me hold her down. But then I'm thinking, where am I going to do this? Because I wasn't going to, I didn't want to do it in the house if I was going to involve another person. And I'm thinking, if I try to do it on the boardwalk, anybody passing by might think that we were hurting the cat, and they'd call the cops and the SPCA, and there'd be a whole lot of explaining to do. Plus, I don't have a good harness for her, and I don't usually have the cats wear collars around the house, even though that's not a good idea. They really should be wearing collars. They should be getting used to them. But last thing I would want is for her to break loose and we lose her outside, even though both cats are fixed. Okay, here's what they look like now. But I gotta add some nuts to them. So I got some options here. The ones in the bag are already ground up. And I don't know if I'm going to use all of them or just one kind. These are, I guess these are pecans. The whole pecans are here. These are the ones that are more finely ground. And these are almonds, what I got in my hand here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle them on top. And when stuff that gets on the edges, I'll just put this. But I do apologize for neglecting the rest of the week. I just, between the house being too hot, oh, I have a lot of homeless friends that live here. And a lot of times on my birthday, my mother would bake me brownies or bake me a cake or something. And I would take some extra pieces of cake and I'd go on the boardwalk and I'd look for my homeless buddies and I would share with them. But of course, with the pandemic, it's harder to find people. And now I don't know whether they're going to reissue mask mandates or whether we're going to get a reprieve. I'm not really up on the local news. And for a while there, out my window, I saw more people were getting to wearing masks. So I don't know whether they were locals or whether they were visitors. So I'm fully vaccinated. I got my shots. But that said, I'm still not really getting out much. A lot of it is because of the bad people hanging out. I mean, imagine if you lived in an apartment building and really bad, dangerous people were hanging out across the street and they were facing where your entrance was and you felt that you couldn't even stick your head out there without them noticing you and stuff. And that's really my situation. And I just don't feel safe sticking my face out there. November 3rd. So, and that's another thing. The election day is the day before. And normally I feel that my vote will count better if I actually vote in person. But I'm thinking I just may vote by mail in advance so that if I have a chance to go someplace for my day, even though I can't really afford to take buses really far, like for instance, I wanted to go to New York City for the 9/11 memorial, and they still want approximately $50 to go there. Yeah, quintuple Scorpio. But when I think of what I can pay, what I can buy for $50, I can get $50 can pay for a little less than half a year's worth of skincare that I use, and I use all kinds of fancy stuff to try to, look as good as possible and stuff. And I'm actually going to be investing in some different stuff, in some prescription kind of stuff that I'm going to be getting from India. There's this online pharmacy where you don't need, okay, now I'm about to dig into hazelnuts, ground hazelnuts. I'm just going to go down, each row is going to have a different kind of nuts on it. I'm just going to sprinkle them on top. And this will be interesting. This will be something that will be harder to duplicate. Add a lot more nutritional value. Never met a nut I didn't like, except for the idiots outside. But another reason why I didn't post last week is some days I just kind of had the blues, A lot of it was that apartment being so overheated and not having an air conditioner when I feel like I'm the only person in the developed world that doesn't have one. But they really do raise the electric bills terribly. And this pandemic has not helped my household's finances. And the thing is, I'm very good at budgeting. Did I try the lemons? What? Did I try the lemons yet? What do you mean, did I try the lemons? Is that code word for something? Or are you talking about that plant that I thought was a citrus tree? I don't think that's a citrus tree because it has thorns or spikes on it. So, but after I get these in the oven, I'll show you my pepper plant. It's starting to ripen. I think they're hot peppers. I haven't had weed in over 3 weeks now. I'm telling you, being without the coffee for the 4 days, that was a bitch. Oh, the lemons for the skin. No. I mean, I have lemon juice, which I don't know if that is quite as good as the actual fresh lemons. I have a couple of frozen limes in there and they were actually organic, and those are good for when you need to shady lemon zest for things. As far as the skincare that I'm using retinol, I'm using vitamin C, I'm using rosehip seed oil, I'm using an oil combination that's an Ayurvedic combination that has turmeric in it, and it's in a coconut oil base, which actually can be very pore clogging. And I feel like I'm dumping motor oil on my skin, but I'm thinking, well, this is going to make me look better when I wake up. Of course, I have not been sleeping much at all. And the only reason how I got the 2 hours of sleep that I did, I found a video showing the visitor center at Ellis Island. I was posting some immigration related stuff to my Facebook thing, and I was watching this video, and I fell asleep during the video, and I'm guessing that's how I got my 2 hours of sleep. And my mother never really got much sleep. That was kind of my fault because I was asking her a question, and I can't tell when she's asleep half the time because she's watching the TV. She watches different movies and things, and I always watch Fox News Channel. I have not changed channel since 9/11. You know, usually I would be watching Weather Channel too, but since you can get the weather on the computer, yeah, that's how I have used lemon. That's supposed to be how Irish people get rid of their freckles and things. There was a couple of days when I didn't even put sunblock on, and normally I wear sunblock every day, even if I don't go out of the house. But since I know I wasn't anywhere near the window, but anyway, I made coffee like before 9 o'clock this morning, and even though I hadn't slept beyond the 2 hours when I fell asleep in front of my computer, but I was laying down. It wasn't like I was sitting up. But okay, these are walnuts, I think. Yeah. No, these are pecans. And these are more of a coarse ground. And sometimes I time my skincare based on how frequently I shower too, especially like if I'm going to be rubbing things on my arms, I don't want to be getting in the shower 2 or 3 hours later because then it would just rub everything off that I put on. But when it gets so hot and I can't get in the shower enough. And the thing is, I have to keep that bathroom door closed because Cassie will go push the door open and she'll go lay down in the tub to keep cool. And I really don't want her getting damp because then she'll go and lay down on a carpet or something and then she'll get dirty on top of dampness. And I want my kids to be as clean as possible. Now, Tabby boy, I wouldn't try bathing him. He's like a spring with claws on it. I'd probably bleed to death if I tried to bathe Tabby boy. And at least he's a short-haired tabby cat. He doesn't get his fur tangled up the way she does, and I can brush him, but the cat brush does not get through her fur. You know, I thought that somebody was going to send me the special wire brush that helps you to get the tangles out of cat's fur. But you know, people, it's easy to intend to do something, but I realize that people have so many responsibilities, and especially people in the rescue community. They're out trapping animals and getting them spayed and neutered, and using their cars to go feed cat colonies and fostering cats. And sometimes, if you've got bottle babies, every 2 hours you're feeding kittens and stuff, and that's really a lot of work. So I don't want to be a drain on the time of people that are already doing so much. You know, you can't think the world revolves around you. And so I try to do as much as I can by myself. Or, you know, I get my mother to help me with certain things. But, you know, it's not fair to her either. Okay, I think this is the ground walnuts. This is what this looks like so far. And maybe I need to really finely ground. When I was putting these through the grinder, it started to get really sticky. Like if I ground them anymore, I would have made a nut butter. And that was just using a coffee grinder that I had previously used to grind my wheat. But we don't have any wheat to grind, and the only stuff that I can find is absolute dirt wheat or stuff that tastes like it's soaked in poison or something. That I think people can't get rid of any other way, and they try to pass it off on me, you know. And it's just, you know, it's not worth it. When something tastes like bug spray or something, it's not worth putting those poisons in you. And it doesn't get me high anyway, so, you know. And I really am not in a position to be paying for weed right now when I have things that I really need to get. And I need to get new guitar strings for my PV, like that PV Raptor electric guitar, and a new set of strings runs approximately $10 and stuff. And I'm probably going to have that restrung. I wasn't going to take it to Guitar Center. There's this place closer by called Pleasantville Music that I think to the Rockstar. Plus, I would imagine the prices are higher at Guitar Center. And it's another zone farther away on the bus, which means it'll cost me more bus fare. So. But I really need to do something guitar so that I can play it. I want to get a mini Marshall of some kind. I got some new cables for it, but it's just when I can't hear myself playing, it really takes from the joy of practicing it. You know, now if I have a cheap acoustic, as long as it has steel strings, at least I'll be able to. It'll make the songwriting easier. So I have all this poetry from long ago. It just needs to be set to music, and I already have the music in my head. It's just a question of getting it down so that I can do something with it. Okay, this last row here, I think I'm going to just use different kinds of nuts. And this feels like I've got butter, a nut butter stuck to my fingers. I would hate to have a tree nut allergy. That would just really suck. I mean, allergic to anything that you love. Or the people who are allergic to cats. Oh, man. I think a lot of people just don't like cats, and they say they're allergic as an excuse to get rid of them, or try to get their roommate to get rid of an animal they love, or try to tell a significant other, "Oh, I don't like your cat." You know, I'm going to let everybody know right now, my cats are my children. I'm not getting rid of them for anybody. You know, and those landlords that try to evict people or else make them get rid of their pets. I think that, I don't believe in hell, but I think there's a special spot in hell for people to do that. It makes me sick all the time. You hear about people that are getting ready to move, and they have these cats and dogs that are like 19 years old, and you give them up to shelters. And you imagine having somebody in your life that long and just saying, okay, you're old, I don't have use for you, just give you away. Or you want a kitten, so you give away your adult animal. That's disgusting. And pets have feelings. I don't know how people can do that. And yet, you read it about it all the time. You know what? Some of these I think I could pick up and roll them in the balls. I think they'll be in nicer shape if I do that. And especially if I have all this dry nut stick. Well, some of them are sticking to it anyway. You know, maybe I won't be able to do that because they are sticking to the thing. And it really doesn't matter what they look like. Woods Pawn Shop. Oh, next to Popeyes. Yeah, Popeyes. Oh, I love Popeyes chicken. Oh, especially the spicy chicken. And their red beans and rice. Cassie! You can't hear a word I say. Those guys, you know, they sell different kinds of weed. And some people, if they don't like you or if you're not their preferred color, give you the crap. I will not subsidize gangs. But I'm pretty sure Woods is a pawn shop that's next door to Popeye. But if they didn't have all these dirt balls hanging out, and if I was more flesh, I would get more of that red beans and rice in their biscuits. Oh my goodness. Nothing like Popeye's biscuits. When I lived in Hollywood, I used to eat half a dozen of their biscuits at a time. Then again, I was on the amphetamine diet, so I didn't have to worry about putting on weight. But you know what? I'm thinner now than I was when I was out there doing that shit. And then sometimes these guys will hang out and they'll have their bicycles and they'll have them down, laying down, and they're all spread out, so you literally have to walk into the street because they won't let you pass. Or, I mean, I can't imagine they would actually physically block me, but I just feel very uncomfortable. And I think they know that I don't like them. And then if I'm wearing my MAGA hat, well, I'm sure that is not exactly popular. Not that I care about popularity, mind you, but sometimes I do think about my safety. Well, I think about my safety a lot. Like when I'm out, if I go to check my mailbox or something, I'll put a knit hat around my hair and stuff. I try not to be noticed by these scumbags around here. Because there's so many people just not nice people, or they're these desperate people that need that crack rock or that heroin or that fentanyl or whatever so badly. And lately I've been seeing more and more suburban type of people coming into this neighborhood just to cop different things. And you see these people, these young teenage girls, teenage white girls come up to these black gang guys, and you get these tiny little baggies that are either, I don't know if it's heroin or if it's crack or whatever. And I'm thinking, does your mother know that you're here buying drugs? If it was pot, I wouldn't care. But it's not what they're selling out here. And they're doing all hours of the night. And then sometimes they hang out underneath my bedroom window and they're making their noises, and some of them have different street calls. Like this one guy goes, yerp, yerp. And it's like, you know, that's why half the time I can't even have my screen and I have to have my window closed. And at least one thing about it being so hot is I have fans running really hard, and they do blot out the noise a lot. And now that our cable's back on, I can have my Fox News channel on. I took there was a television here in the kitchen, that was put in my room because my TV actually, it was getting worse and worse. The picture was almost black. Oh yeah? I'm starting to think that there's some, well, I've already been punched in the face by bad guys. I made a video about it. Somebody actually took umbrage that I described the skin color. Excuse me, I reserve the right to describe if a person does me wrong and they're whatever color, I reserve the right to describe them. And the fact of the matter was, two black men punched me in the face a couple of summers ago. And damn right, I'm going to talk about it. You know. But they weren't regulars in this neighborhood. That they were. I really do believe that someone used her cell phone and contacted them by text message, and they intercepted me, and it happened very fast and stuff. But I normally never go through lengths to conceal my hair under a hat or anything, but in this neighborhood, I mean, we've got neighbors that don't want trash cans and the smell that sometimes comes from them getting to them through their porch. And so they actually intimidated our downstairs neighbors from keeping the trash can outside. So we have no place to take our trash out. And sometimes the idiots that have the trash cans for our building don't even take them out at all. So, and the thing is, you know, you can get a fine for using a municipal trash can for your home trash. So you have to be careful. But on the same token, you don't want to be having that stuff accumulate in your house too long. Not only does it smell bad, it can attract vermin, or it can attract the cats. Cassie's not strong enough to do it, but Taddy Boy will knock the trash can down if they smell any kind of meat product in there or something. Obviously, bones can be choked on. So, yeah, we're like the only people on our block that can't take our own trash out. It's ridiculous. I was hoping to be able to move out of this apartment before the fall was over, but now that's not going to be possible. Yeah. And plus, you can't move until you have a place to move to. But this corner, I mean, it's ridiculous. And I still can't believe on 9/11, on the 9/11 anniversary, the damn church decided to have one of those gospel hootenannies outside. And the thing is, on all days, to be so disrespectful, the people that did not even acknowledge that it was the 9/11 anniversary. And it wasn't like they weren't born and alive when it was happening. And it's one thing if you were so young when it happened that you just don't understand. And frankly, unless you were under a rock, how anybody could not be aware. You know what? I've got different kinds of nuts, probably more than one in each thing, so it's probably, hey, they're going to taste good. I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Before I pop them in. Now this goes in, and these, okay, I guess what I should do, you know what, I'm going to do the other one too, because the one that has to be in longer, I think needs to be further back, so I should make the other mix now and put them in at the same time. That would be the smart thing. So now with the griddle mix, that doesn't get made in the balls, that just gets spread out. So I'm going to cut it open. Oh, I wish you could smell this. This has much more of a chocolate smell. than the other mix. And this has smaller chocolate chips in it. And this is the one that calls for a full stick. So a full stick is going to be half of this. Boy, is this soft. Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, the people that thumb me down, there's like one or two people that all thumb my videos down. I know there are people that decided that they're my enemy or something. And I think it's funny that they, instead of unsubscribing to me, they keep tabs on me just so that they think that they're sticking it to me by doing the thumbs up thing. And I'm thinking, hey, I'm getting free right in your head. You know, all you can do is be amused with people. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these back in the fridge. You know what? My hands are kind of sticky. I'm going to go ahead and wash. Oh, I forgot to put my apron on. All this time, see, I was planning on, I was going, as soon as I did the turnaround, I was going to put the apron on, and I forgot. I actually stuck the apron up in here where I put my pasta, and the baking mixes that don't have chocolate. I've been putting the chocolate stuff in the freezer so it doesn't get all gummy in this heat. But this is actually where I stashed this just so that I could have it someplace. My BFF got me this Cooking Diva thing. She was in Hollywood, but now she's in Burbank. Any off chance that she's watching this? Well, she would be watching the rebroadcast. I think you got to remember that Los Angeles is 3 hours earlier, and she might be making her husband his dinner right now. I don't know. I always have to think of the time zone. I know this is a little late, but so now I got to mix this up. One thing I hate about using an electric mixer, it's really easy to just splatter it all over yourself. I'm starting to think that some of these cops must be in on it with these dealers because there are times last week I called cops about noise. There's people that hang out in front of the Laza house next door and they call the name of this person. And I have nicknames for some of these people because most people's names I don't know. I mean, I have no reason to know these people. I try to avoid people as much as possible. I don't interact with them. I keep to myself. I try to stay safely indoors and away from all these dirt bags. But sometimes you have people that'll hang out until 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You're talking loudly and stuff. And I call the cops and have to call them a number of times, and they say they're going to send somebody out. And and even when I say, look, I'm sick and tired of this, I have to get up in the morning. My mother has heart failure, blah blah blah. And I said, I don't want to have to go and get a lead pipe and go busting some heads. And of course, the dispatcher says, don't do that, But it's like they prioritize what's important, and apparently, just somebody making noise and disturbing people who pay exorbitant rent for what the neighborhood is, and for, I mean, what my family pays to rent this place is more than most people I know's mortgage. But the thing is, when you're stuck with a house, unless you actually go through the trouble of selling a house, you can't just up and move. Whereas at least if you're a renter, in theory, you can not be stuck there. See, this is a much moister mix. Now this, I think, I can actually add nuts to rather than sprinkle them. Boy, I could really smell the chocolate from this. I wonder what would happen if I add a little bit of peanut butter in this. The thing is, it already has so much fat. I could probably have substituted some of this butter. I got 2 more of these, maybe 3 more of these. I think the next time I make this, I'll substitute some peanut butter for some of the butter. And I'll have an even more of a dimension to the flavor. Okay, now this, because I don't want to really affect the consistency of this, I think this will call for some pecan halves. And pecans are good in cornflakes. Try that as a snack sometime. Just take a bowl or even a plastic bag, put some dry cornflakes in them, take a handful of pecans, and just eat them together. They're really good. Now, if you want, you can add some pancake syrup to it or some honey. And then, of course, instead of using your bare hands, you have to use a spoon. But that's a real good snack, and the nuts make it healthy and a good source of protein. All right. Now, see what I did? that's enough. I can add some more. Okay, it says stir cookie brittle mix and butter until dough forms. Dough may be stiff and need to be blended with hand. Press cookie brittle dough onto the rectangle on ungreased cookie sheet. So, you know what? These bags are getting away. Have you seen this stuff? Come on, right? These are the way. This are the way. This are the way. I didn't realize you couldn't probably see. You know what? Get my clapboard out of the way. All these packages now say, don't eat your raw cookie dough. And I think this has dehydrated eggs in it or something. You don't want to get salmonella. Everybody, when they were a kid, probably remembers licking batters and stuff. I always got to lick the batters when I was little. Anything chocolate, you know. And what I'm going to end up doing after I get the dough, everything pressed into here, I think I'm going to use my hands and make sure I get everything out. Or actually, I should just use a spatula, a rubber spatula to do that. I hope this isn't too big a pan. I didn't bother thinking about dimensions. I mean, these are the only two pans I have for cookies, so. Seems to me I remember us having more, but I don't know if they got warped or what. I see at least you had notifications on, right? So that's how you found me, unless you actually just happen to have your YouTube homepage on. I don't know how you get your notifications, because you actually can press the bell, and if it looks like it's ringing, then you can get notified. And then I guess that's how you get your push notifications on your computer, or I don't know if you watch on a computer or you watch on a cell phone. Even though I don't know how people can enjoy watching on those tiny screens. I have seen my videos on people's cell phones before, and it looks just tiny, and I guess you can get used to it, and it helps to have really good vision. But it seems to me you miss so many details when you're looking at a tiny, tiny, tiny version of it. But then I know other people that use their televisions as monitors, so they get to see things really big. And there you get to see real detail. And it's for those people that I'm thinking, boy, I better make sure that my room, my set is as clean as possible. It always is after you've been on video that you realize, oh, I didn't pick up that. Hi, Amir. Well, you can see I've got cookie dough on my hand, so I can't reach out and touch a mask right now, even though since you asked, after I clean off my hand, I can go and put a mask on for you because you're nice and you ask, and there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, the way this COVID Delta variant is spiking in places, a lot of places are having the mask up again. And they're saying even if you're fully vaccinated, you should. More and more people I know have been getting it too. But the most of the people that I know that are getting it or that did get it were not vaccinated to begin with. But then since they're saying now that if you already had COVID, you have a better immunity than the people that get it through the shot. And I kind of feel bad for those people that already got it. Now, there's places where unless you got the vaccine, like you can't travel unless you have a vaccine. But if a person already had COVID, but I guess you'd have to be tested and they could tell that you have the antibodies in you. But if a person already has the antibodies in them, then they shouldn't need to get the shot. But then I heard that getting the shot can't hurt even if you've already had it. But there's a lot of people that are afraid of the vaccine because occasionally it seems to have side effects. But when you look at the percentages, the side effects, the people that get side effects are so minor, but then sometimes the side effects are pretty serious. So all I could suggest is do your own research and listen to your healthcare person. But I am very pro vaccine, and I'm glad I got it. And sometimes I wonder if I'm going to still get it anyway, get the virus, because especially with the Delta being so especially contagious. Oh, you know what I had a chance to do this weekend, but I found out about it too late. I found out there's a rave on the beach up on Vermont Avenue. And I got told about it that afternoon of the event, and I was really tired because I hardly had any sleep because I was up all night using my computer to talk to a friend overseas. And so somebody called me at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon to let me know that his band's playing at 10 o'clock and that there's going to be a rave all night. And it's like, that's really last minute. These people take for granted that I don't have any kind of life and I don't have anything else to do. And so they let me know at the very last minute. And the thing is, I was tired. I was just really, 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 and I was so burnt out, tired that I didn't go live because I felt that I was not going to be very coherent. Yeah, I got all this stuff on my hands. I just can't, And none of the masks are here in the kitchen anyway. The only time any face masks are in the kitchen is if they're about to be washed, because I do my laundry washing in this room. I draw the water in a basin and I wash my clothes by hand. And this is normally the place I do it, even though the hot water runs hotter in the little bathroom than it does here in the kitchen. So yeah, I probably should have used a rubber spatula to do this. Starting to think some people have begun to fetishize these masks. You can make a fetish out of almost anything, and it's harmless. You know, I don't see anything dangerous or offensive in something like that. It's one of the few fetishes that you can actually run around outside and nobody would be any wiser. People would just assume that you were being especially health conscious. Well, I think I can add some more naturally on the edges. Boy, if people are hooting and hollering, it sounds like a weekend out there. One thing, my television that's in my room now, it's got a nice volume on it. I put it on 100 and it really, no, one of my viewers here, he likes to see me wear the mask. So I'm not, when I put it on, I'm not putting it on because I'm trying to protect myself or other people. I'm doing it because I was asked to. And a simple request like that entertains a specific person and is not harming anybody, I see no reason not to indulge them. All right, nuts. I have to make those aura NIOSH masks make you look kind of like you got a pig face. They're pretty trippy. They remind me of a Twilight Zone episode where it was normal for people to have pig face, and there was this woman that looked kind of like Marilyn Monroe, and she went through special surgery or special treatment to get that look, and it never worked. And you don't see till the very end that it was normal for people to have those pig faces, and it was all commentary about conventional beauty standards. I love the Twilight Zone. And then there's another kind of similar show called The Outer Limits. Okay. Now, I'll let you see what this looks like up close. And this gets baked as a whole sheet. Since this takes a longer time, this says it takes 10 to 13 minutes or until surface is golden brown. Now this thing has to cool completely on pan about 30 minutes, and then you remove the brittle and break it into pieces. So I hope that Comcast doesn't shut off before the whole thing is done like it did the first 2 times I tried these baking things. It was last time everything was fine. This only has 8 to 10 minute baking time. So this will go in first. Actually, you know what? I can do these sideways. This again is what these look like. You know what? I hope that overlap is okay. All right, it is now 34 minutes after 11. I'll wash my hands. Then I'm going to go into my studio. I'm going to grab some face masks so Amir can see me with them on. And if everybody else thinks I look a little odd, hey, COVID's still out there and people should have masks on hand for when they do have to go out. There's some hot tea. I keep a pot boiling water, keeping it hot, plugged in, and I keep tea on all the time. Oh, boy, was I thirsty. And obviously, it was not freshly poured, or else I would totally have scalded my trachea and back of my throat and all that stuff. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to go grab a face mask. Don't go by, guys. Okay, I'm going to have to be careful because I've got earrings in. I want you to see my earrings. I really love these. I got them on wish.com. See, they got the eye on them. Oh, and they're light and they don't hurt. And I coated these with clear nail polish so the fake gold wouldn't rub off. Now, the thing with dangling earrings, masks get really tangled. Okay, now first I'm going to put this on because I can't not make my little statement here. Hey, I do have people watching from all over the world. I have a very dear friend who I will not name, who lives in a part of the world where I would not be allowed to show my hair, and I would not be allowed to wear my skirts and my garter belts and all that stuff. And he is somebody that does not believe in any of that bullshit. And he's trying to legally immigrate to America. And it's sickening that we can see what's going on our southern border, the people pushing down barriers and breaking in. But now if you get caught, and they can deport you and they won't let you here in the country at all. So it's just not worth it trying to sneak over. This is a KN95. No, mine aren't blue. I have purple also. I believe some people like to see the mask because it kind of is a bit of a fetishy thing for some people. Again, I'm not judging, but I'm not going to model any burkas, I promise. I did take a belly dance scarf and I put it over my head one time to take some pictures, but and I would actually like to do some belly dancing on video sometime. But the thing is, you can't use copyrighted music. You get a copyright strike, you get in a lot of trouble. I can grab a NIOSH mask. Give me a second. Okay, this is the white 3M Aura NIOSH mask. And these, the straps go over your head. And you're right, they should be fit checked. I'm always afraid I'm going to rip my earrings out. And this is so pig-like. But the day that I got my first shot, one of the New Jersey Air National Guard guys had a NIOSH mask on. And these actually have rubber bands on them. This is your favorite, huh? These look so weird. I don't know if I look like a duck or if I look like a platypus or what. But, and yes, you're right, the nose clip needs to be pinched. And this is probably the best quality of all the masks that I have. This was sent to me by a friend who works in the medical field. I believe he works in the radiology department of one of the VA. Oh, I should show you the proof of how good these are. Hold on a second. I know how to. Do you know that there's a way to prove that these masks are really good? Now, Anthony, please be nice to the other people in the chat. I think that this is more about some people like the fetishy aspect as opposed to like a religious aspect, okay? But that's okay. I have different kinds of people watch me for different reasons. This is a totally harmless thing. He's not hurting anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. just like some different people watch me for different reasons. When the men watch my makeup tutorials, I don't think it was that they cared about watching me with makeup on. They like to see my turnaround, and I know some of you guys like to see the short skirts and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Different people, and some girls like that too. You know, you can't assume that everybody's straight. I have all kinds of people watching me. I have people in the LGBTQ community. I have transgender people watching me. I have all kinds of people. I have police people watching me. I have Democrats watching me. I have certainly more Republicans watching me because I am Republican, but because I am a social liberal, I have all different kinds of people watch me for different reasons. So, and that's fine because I have a variety channel. And, you know, that also means that I don't always know why people watch me. But check this out. Okay. Now, you see the candle. I am going to try to blow it out. Once I fit check it. Now I'm making sure that it's sealed. This is probably the best kind of mask you can use. Oh, and I just took my earring out. Damn it. Okay, now I am going to, where am I going to stick this? I'm going to put this here. Okay. Yeah, but please let's not insult each other on here. One time I had a Democrat and a Republican that were fighting on the chat room, and one of my Democrat friends, he calls himself Russian in California, and I think that he is a Republican, and he was arguing with this guy Emmanuel, who is a Democrat, and they were offering to kick each other asses over the internet. Okay, you know, I would like us to all get along. I don't censor people. Now, again, I'm going to test this. Fit check. Now, see, this is the KN95. It's called KN95 because it's made in China. Now, this, no protection. That's how you know that this is going to give you any kind of protection. But this is still my favorite, okay? Because he's my favorite president. Did you guys notice that I did the turnaround here in the kitchen and not in my room? I thought that this, when I realized that with this webcam, it gives a wide angle, and I saw that I was able to get you the full length. So I was able to do the turnaround here, and it's so much easier than doing a turnaround there and then bring everything with all the cords and the cables and stuff and risking dropping the computer and all that stuff. That would really suck. Now, speaking of what really sucks, one of my earring backs fell on the ground, and I don't want to step on it and crush it. Oh, here it is. Yay. Okay. But I love these earrings. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a really nice close-up look of it. I love Wish.com. I've bought electronics from there. See, it's got that eye in the middle of it. And these look like they are so much more money than what I actually spent. Wish.com. It's quite amazing. Maybe after I'm finally done with this stream, I do have a discount code for Wish.com that I think when I look it up, I will put it in the show notes. So after this is over, give me a few minutes and read the whatever I wrote in the description of the video and stuff. I have a discount code that gets you, I forget what it gets you off. Well, that sounds like I should have said. But anyway, there is going to be, I will put a discount code. Don't make me laugh. Please, you guys, be nice to each other. I mean, now, okay, as far as fetishes go, if, say, somebody knew that I had rubber pants, rubber trousers, or spandex pants, which of course I do have, or the leather with the studs and stuff on it, and they asked me to put them on, would you make fun of that too? I think that stuff is great. What if I took out a riding crop or a cat and nine tails or something, which I actually have in my storage in Hollywood? I have that stuff. Or wrist restraints or something. Now, of course, I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. You've got to really be careful about how you present certain things here. They're getting stricter and stricter with us, all because I know they want to protect kids, and I'm all about protecting kids. But when I specifically say that this is not content for children, one of my marijuana videos, YouTube thinks is made for kids. It's like, why the hell would I have a pot video for children? I'm not an idiot. But see, YouTube is controlled by this artificial intelligence, which sometimes is not very intelligent. I hope all you guys have normal climate control, air conditioning, and all that stuff. If you watch, come winter time, I'm going to be complaining how cold it is, because even though we do have a furnace, it's not turned on as warm as maybe most people would like. And that's when I would be wearing too many clothes around the house, and of course stripping down to a more attractive ensemble and film and stuff. And I'm sure that we would have cheaper heating bills if there was insulation in the walls and stuff. But this building has been around at least 100 years, I was told. So, but I want to get this used school bus, and I want to make a recording studio in it and have enough blank wall space for backdrop for my YouTube videos. And I want to get at least one little robot for my cats so they don't stink up the place. And the stove is going to be electric. I don't want anything running propane gas or anything explosive. I want to have some solar panels on it to run at least the electronics on solar. And the little robots, the solar, you can have batteries attached to the solar panels to store the energy, because obviously you're not going to have every day is going to be sunny, and obviously the sun doesn't shine at night. But I don't want to have to only have the little robot running when the engine's running. I'm not going to be having the engine gunning unnecessarily. I hate it when cars do that outside. What ends up happening is the car exhaust floods the stairwell, and carbon monoxide poisoning is a real thing. And it's colorless, and it's odorless, and it's tasteless, but I hate the smell of car exhaust. And the thing is, my mother has heart disease and heart failure, so she is especially susceptible to it. So, oh yeah, And speaking of fetishes, and in the interest of being fair to as many of my viewers as possible, if there's any other little quirky things that you like to see, and assuming that I'm not philosophically opposed to it, feel free and let me know. If I can humor people who want to wear face masks, I can be accommodating of other things too, as long as they're not what I would deem to be too particularly offensive. I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. I don't want to uh, turn off the wrong people. But things that are harmless and that I might think are kind of cool. What is the saying? No harm, no foul. I mean, I would even maybe put on a Joe Biden thing or a Hillary Clinton thing. Of course, that would be like a serious moral compromise. I have a whole lot of George W. Bush buttons from his presidential campaign, and since the things he's been saying about Trump supporters and comparing those people that were at the January 6th thing to the people that attacked us during 9/11, that was very out of line. Oh, by the way, that gathering that was recently in Washington, D.C., I would have loved to have been there, but a lot of people were concerned that maybe that was going to be an attempted setup of people that were in support of President Trump and people that were in support of at least the gathering on January 6th. I would not have been one of the trespassers. But that said, you know what you would really do until you're in that situation. If a policeman is reaching his hand out, offering you to lift you up, sure, I would go. And then I would be in prison right now. So that was kind of messed up. But I am a very proud American. I know this is the best country there is. I'm very grateful that I was born here, and I acknowledge that there are people who are desperate to be here. And I realize that just because a person wants to come here doesn't mean they have a right to come here, but I do know people personally who are in danger in their home countries. I have a friend that lives in Iran, okay? And he may or may not be watching right now. I'm not dropping any names, so I guess I can say this. But he very much deserves to be here. He's a very talented musician. He looks very Western. He does not believe in the dominant religion that's over there. Uh, he grows his hair long. He likes to wear tight pants. He wears makeup sometimes. And the laws there do not approve of people that look very American there. Sometimes they make him shave his head. Sometimes they make him grow his beard out. So, and he is a very talented musician, and he deserves to be here in America. And I'm going to try to get him here. That's right. But when I see what's going on in Texas with those Haitians, did you guys watch, any of you watch Fox News Channel? There are some Haitians that came here illegally, and they were put in a bus to be transported to an airplane to be flown back to Haiti. And what did they do? But they beat up the driver, and they did this mutiny kind of thing. And then they ran out of the bus, but fortunately they were caught. And of course, the governor of Texas is pissed off, as any police person would be. And he says that they are definitely going to be thrown in jail for that. Violence is not necessary. And I'm thinking it's so easy for so many people to sneak across our southern border. And yet, this person who I desperately want to get here, who loves our country, loves President Trump, loves our freedoms, wants nothing more than to live here and play his music and take a chance at rock stardom. This is somebody that I would love to take with me when I go back to Los Angeles. I'm going to have room in my bus. This is somebody who is familiar with our United States Constitution. But yeah, did you know that if for some people you sneak over here and they catch you, they deport you, and then you're never allowed back? And for other people, the path to citizenship can take 10 years or more. And I'm waiting around for this person. I don't want to wait 10 years. But if you get an immigration lawyer, and of course that's thousands and thousands of bucks right there. And I'm going to have to give a lot of gigs to go and try to get an attorney for that. But I'm going to try to help someone get here because they don't deserve to be stuck where they're at, where they can risk getting beat up at any time, where if they express the wrong political views to the wrong person, they could be thrown in jail. Even if you express positive pro-American sentiment in some of these Middle Eastern countries, you can be put in jail. Now, if I was to try to go over there and visit, I would be accused of being a spy. I would get beat up. I would disappear, maybe be tortured, maybe be raped, whatever would happen to me. You've seen what happens when people are backpacking and they get lost and they get accused of being a spy. But you cannot confuse a government with the citizens. Just like those of us that did not vote for Biden, we can't control all this crazy stuff that's going on. We don't support that. But a government might be bad, but the citizens, you got to judge people on an individual basis. Okay, now let's get back to these cookies now before I get too much on my rant. Okay, these are supposed to be baking 8 to 10 minutes, and I put them in a quarter of, so you know what, I should be checking. Oh, these things are kind of got holes in them, so I gotta be very careful I don't burn myself. And one of the cookies actually came down and is on here. See, this is proof that it's live. This is what one of these cookies looks like. Mmm. Now, the other ones take 10 to 13 minutes, and it says bake them until they are golden brown, and that definitely looks golden. But you know what? They don't seem like they're done enough. Maybe they are. Okay, I don't want to burn myself. This is what this looks like. But it says you got to cool it for a half hour. So. Okay, I'm going to turn the oven off. Oh, my goodness. Ooh, that is a blast furnace. Okay, this has to cool before I can break it up. I wish you could smell my kitchen right now. Let me see what the wrap directions are for this. It says cool 2 minutes before removing from cookie sheet. Then it says cool completely, store in airtight container. I always think it's funny when it says store in airtight containers because aren't you going to eat them before you store them? California Republic. Every day that goes by, the closer we get to impeaching Joe Biden. Yes, for that. For saying that. Thank you for showing Trump 2024. Thank you. I was saying, where's my Trumpers at? How are you doing? I have kept Fox News Channel on every day since 9/11 anniversary, since I have my TV back. I love having my cable back. The kitchen TV that was here is now in my room, and it's a flat screen. It goes up to 100. It's much louder than the other TV. When the fan's running, the TV is loud enough that it can be heard. I'm telling you, I'm so glad to have my Fox News channel back on. But that said, hearing about with these Mark Milley, maybe Thursday I'll do a live stream and I'll bitch about these upper military brass and the way they've been. Okay, so maybe that's what we'll do. But like I mentioned earlier, I found some video footage from 2 summers ago. There was a Trump supporters beach party here in town. And one of my friends from Washington, D.C. was here, and he has a nice little iPad. And he was doing filming of this beach party. Because it was a beach party, yours truly was wearing this red, white, and blue string bikini and all that stuff. And anyway, when he first gave me the footage and I started to edit it up so that I could post it, the videos were underneath. But the thing is, we need to get rid of 3 people. We need to get rid of Trump. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. I did not mean that. I will spank myself because that was a terrible heresy to say. We need to get rid of Biden. We need to get rid of Harris. And we got to get rid of Nancy Pelosi because she's 3rd in line. Now, who is 4th in line? That's what I want to know. Because they're all scary. But actually, Kamala Harris scares me probably more than anybody. Because she was always my least favorite of all the Democratic contenders. I didn't want any of them. Pete Buttigieg, he was interesting on certain things. But for somebody that was in the military, he was the least national security minded of all the veterans. I didn't understand how he could have the perception he had after having had military service. And that just never made any sense to me. That said, I thought it was cool that he's gay. I thought it was cool that he was married to the love of his life and all that. But to be a veteran and to be so anti-military is not the right word, but he just didn't seem, he wasn't hawkish enough for the kind of veteran that I would expect. And he had so many views that were decidedly, what's the word I'm looking for, anti-interventionist maybe. But he just didn't seem like he was really in support of our efforts in the war on terror. Oh, excuse me. I see something. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Vermin needed to be stepped on. Oh, but there's good vermin and there's bad vermin. I shouldn't say this too loud because I don't want my mother to hear. There's a mouse here, and I saw it running alongside. It was about this big. I like mice. Patrick Lee, that's who the 4th in line is. But maybe Thursday I will talk about these treasonous military brass. I seem to feel very comfortable doing these political commentary live streams, but just when it's really, 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 really hot, and I was kind of feeling demoralized over all this bad news with Afghanistan. Plus, I was kind of sad about the situation with that person who's my friend who lives in Iran who wants to get out here. Well, he's still in university and he has to deal with his education. He's trying to find a pathway to citizenship here that's not going to take 10 years because his 10 years is obviously different than my 10 years, and I don't want to look like somebody's mother by the time he gets here. So I am looking for a very good immigration lawyer that not only speaks English but also speaks Farsi and who specializes in the Middle East. And this is going to cost dearly. And the thing is, I've hired an attorney before. Litigation is a pain in the ass when you have to pay billable hours. And I notice a lot of attorneys charge what hookers seem to charge, which is between 200 and 250 an hour. I mean, not that I know anything about that life, but I mean, I've heard about the high class ones charged like that. Of course, the ones that I see across the street, the crack whores, I think they're $5 or $10 a trick or something like that. I don't know. Hey, Jeff, you're here for a cookie. Eat my cookies! Sorry, I had to say that. You know, I had to look that up in the Urban Dictionary. And, yeah. So, I'm going to show you what these look like. I got to be real careful because these have, if I stick my finger through them, I will burn myself. But this is what these look like. I added all kinds of nuts. I wish you could smell my kitchen. I think I'm going to do baking and cooking on Tuesday nights. I never thought that I would be featuring food in my channel, but since I'm not doing makeup tutorials anymore, because, you know, like I keep on saying, that's the least popular of every subject matter that I even cover. Blinking, yelling, and Austin. That's blinking. Oh, God. I mean, I'm blinking. I know this has nothing to do with it. He's not a bad looking guy. But what a fucking idiot. I mean, how can you be in our military and even think that the order in which we did the pullout was okay? Now, I thought but nobody, none of these guys makes me as mad as Mark Milley. Because Mark Milley was here when Trump was in office, and he went behind Trump's back, and he made that phone call to the guy in China because Nancy Pelosi told him that he thought that Trump was too dangerous to be able to press the red nuclear button. So they went behind President Trump's back and making that phone call. If that is not treasonous, I don't know what is. And that infuriates me, as I'm sure most of you who understand the situation are infuriated by. If my father was alive right now, he would just, my father's probably rolling over in his grave right now. My father was a Korea War vet. My father was one of these my country, right or wrong kind of people. Be nice, people. Don't be calling people out by name and being mean to them. If a person has a little harmless fetish, what's wrong with that? You know, I am no more repulsed by somebody wanting to see me wear the mask. Maybe they're having more than an academic interest in it than if somebody said, "Hey, Leather, why don't you get a pair of rubber pants and put them on?" I would do that. I have no problem with that. Of course, if you asked me to rub oil on them, I wouldn't do that because oil and rubber, you know what oil does to rubber. You know, try putting oil on a rubber balloon one time and see what happens. And if you know where I'm getting there, oil and rubber just don't mix. But if anything can be fetishized, okay. There was something that somebody made a post on Facebook today that was so dirty, I can't even say. It was about a teenager that stuck a USB cable. There was a cord that had a USB fixture on it. He stuck it up himself in front because he wanted to measure himself. Okay. And he didn't want to tell his parents, obviously. He had the parents leave the room so he could talk to the doctor in the ER privately. Poor kid had to be operated on. He just wanted to measure himself. He could have gotten out a tape measure or something, okay, but he decided to stick the USB thing up. Yeah, kids these days. I laughed pretty hard at that. I almost to spit coffee on my keyboard. Smoke a blunt and eat a cookie like the rest of them matter. Mice lives matter. Yeah. Oh, I heard funny sounds in the oven earlier this week, and it sounded like there was a mouse there. So I opened up the bottom where the broiler thing is. There was no mouse. Opened up the main oven door. There was no mouse. Opened up the top here where you light the pilot light. There was no mouse. And I'm thinking, well, until that mouse is gone out of there, I'm not going to turn any oven on. Well, different strokes for different folks. Well, remember was it the last stream or the one before that? I actually wore a pair of leather pants, but they were kind of big on me. But they were given to me back when, I think, the year after I graduated high school or something. And at one time, they fit me kind of snug to the point where I thought it made my legs look a little fat. But now there's so much room in the waist. They're just really big. I had to belt them in very seriously. And because they weren't skin tight, I didn't feel that they were very flattering. But I wore them for the video so that, so I would have a variety of what I wore and stuff. But, oh man, in this heat, they were just so hot. Oh God. I mean, it's really too hot for pants. And I don't know exactly what the heat is now. According to my computer, outside it's 72 degrees. Right now, I'm back on having Chrome, because Chrome is easier to do live streams on. I could see the things that I need on Chrome easier, but Chrome crashes my computer too much, so I've been using Opera lately. And on Opera, on my Google homepage, it allows you to have the weather on it in the upper left-hand corner. And since I already have weather in my lower right-hand corner, I decided to have somebody else's weather on the upper left-hand side. So I decided to have Tehran, Iran on the upper left-hand corner. So I get to know what the weather's like all over there. And I believe today that it was 90 degrees. And they're approximately 12 hours different. They're Greenwich Mean Time +5, I think. Here, Atlantic City, New Jersey is GMT -5, I think, depending on whether we're Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time. And there's now a difference. But it's really cool to know what the weather's like in different parts of the world and different parts of the country and stuff. That's one of the things I like about the Weather Channel so much. And of course, with the different maps you have on the internet, you can actually watch storm systems all over the world. But some places you don't get to see as good a radar. And but that's one of the really wonderful things about the internet, just being able to see what's going on, and of course being able to talk to people all over and stuff. And I get such a kick out of being able to talk on Instant Messenger. Yeah. Well, speaking of vanilla, I only have the vanilla extract. It's probably not even real. And I was talking to one of my friends on Facebook today she uses real vanilla bean, and they have a vanilla bean paste. But you don't have those fancy gourmet stores here in town. I would have to go on the mainland I just read that sausages. Isn't that dog biscuits or something? And they had, I would say sausages for sausages. I'm going to put this earring back in. They say that people are the same all over. I don't think that's true. I mean, you get assholes all over and you get good people all over, but I don't know, the older I get, the more I see that really there's a lot of different, interesting kinds of people, and people are very fascinating. I feel kind of like a Margaret Mead. I find people fascinating. I just wish that there weren't so many really cruel people that are able to do abysmal things to animals and stuff. Seabiscuit. Wasn't that a name of a racehorse? I have in storage uh, different kinds of restraints and things. I was joking around on Facebook about a way to hold my Cassie, the deaf cat, down so that I could shave off her matted fur. And I was saying if I had those restraints, but small enough to tie her down so that she wouldn't fidget, and then if I put a cone of shame on her, the Elizabethan collar, so she couldn't bite me, so that I could take the mats off of her. I know when you said, I know what you meant, but I'm saying I was also referring to the other kind. I know how to talk about two different subjects. Just like when I made the reference and when I titled this and I said, want to eat my cookies, that had two meanings. So I figured people would either get it or not. But since I also referenced baking cookies, I wasn't going to get in trouble on YouTube because they do not only artificial intelligence to check and make sure that you're not creating objectionable content, but they also have humans look at things. So you have to cover all your bases to make sure that you don't get in trouble. Because like they have a warning system, just like with political things. Like if you make a video just about how the election was stolen, you can't do it. But yeah, and did Sea Biscuit win the total Kentucky Derby or just because I know there's a Preakness and there's something else in Royal Crown, and but isn't that a horse that won? I don't know if all of them or 2 out of 3 or something. But I believe they canceled the Kentucky Derby last year because of COVID, right? Oh, my father used to like to hang out. Atlantic City used to have a racetrack. It was Atlantic City Raceway. And one of my fun early memories of hanging out with my father, one time he took me to the racetrack. And in my father's defense, I never saw any gambling. I don't remember seeing any drinking. But my father did have access to the back where the horses were, and he knew some of the vets. And I got to see horses having their legs taped and stuff. And my my father knew the names of some famous race horses and things. And anyway, he had and I had rehearsed. He supposedly was supposed to take me to the movies. Instead, he took me to the racetrack. And we finally came clean and told my mother that in fact we went to the racetrack. But it was a totally innocent thing. I got to see the horses. And I had a real fun childhood. My father was a lot of fun. He was a hardworking man, but he had a sense of humor. And he was very silly. And he made childhood a lot of fun. He would tell these different stories, like make fake scientific explanations for things. Like instead of explaining how water evaporates when you put it outside, and he would say things like this. Say you're a guy or a girl and you're peeing outside, and why it would be gone the next day. He would say that the Sandman comes in out of the ocean and he took it away. And just different silly things, harmless things, fun things. And he would go to those photo booths that give you a strip of 4 pictures, and he would put like a lollipop in his mouth, and he would suck on it, and he would have it sticking out of his cheek, and he would make all these funny faces, and he would have these strips of pictures, or my father had false teeth, and he would play with them, and he would make all these funny faces with his teeth and stuff, and he would take his teeth out and different things. And I imagine I was like 4, 5, 6 years old laughing. And I thought that my father was this magical guy that could do things with his teeth and stuff. And meanwhile, my mother would be like cringing, like, I just thought it was funny. So I had a fun childhood that my parents both made an effort. And Christmases, they always made an effort, even when we were not prosperous. But there are ways of making things fun for kids and ways of doing things cheaply and still having nice holidays and stuff. Okay, I'm gonna try a cookie. These are crunchy. I like them. Mmm. These are so nice and buttery. And having all the mixed nuts. You know, now that we have sports betting here in the casinos, and I'm really glad they legalized it because people were betting on them anyway, but at least there's a safe place to make your bets. And I noticed when you go in now that a lot of the COVID restrictions are gone, they have these big slips of paper, you know, in the usual sports like your football and your baseball, and hockey, and basketball, all that stuff, tennis even. I'm pretty sure they do the bets for horse racing too. But they closed down Atlantic City Racetrack, and I don't know if they're doing anything with their premises. I mean, they closed it down decades ago. Mm, wonderful. If you guys get to buy this mix, oh, I don't drink milk. We don't even have milk in the house. My mother occasionally uses it uh, for cereal, and we're out of cereal because I've been eating cornflakes with the pecans. Hey, Mom, want a cookie? Want to look at it? This is what these look like. Oh, that's beautiful. And you see that each row is different kind of nuts. Oh, you want to see what the other tray looks like? Sure. These you're supposed to keep in the tray for a half hour before breaking them. And I put pecans in. My mother didn't want to take it. She didn't want to be on camera. Now there is, yeah. I have all these bags of nuts, you know. Why not use them and make some more nutritious? But I really love cornflakes with pecans. Just you could snack on them. I mean, you know, I got cornflakes in bed and stuff, and that's you shouldn't be eating in bed because I hate crumbs in bed. But you know what? Now that I have my TV in there, nice little flat screen, it's like about 35 inches maybe. I've never had a flat screen TV before, and I love that the volume can be heard over my fans. I mean, before the volume was like, why bother, right? And you shouldn't have to choose between being comfortable and cool and being able to hear your electronics. And of course, this computer has like no volume at all. Another thing I would like to invest in is speakers that I can attach to it. Now, if I was using the Chrome not operating system browser, there are some add-ons that actually increase the volume a little bit, but Opera doesn't have any add-ons, so you can't increase the volume. And so if I have the fan on at its highest, I can't really hear my computer comfortably, but at least I can hear my television. When it's been a half hour, then I can break this up. This will have to be broken up kind of like you do peanut brittle, but they said that it's got to harden for like a half hour. You know what? It's 12:35, so it's been more than a half hour. So let's break it up. Let's see how, if it says a specific way to do that. Oh, in each of these mixes, I got at Dollar Tree, by the way. But if you see them, you should get them. Okay. Oh, it says remove brittle from pan, break into pieces, store in an airtight container. Again, this is guessing that you're going to have enough left over to store. I mean, come on. But that said, I do have a cool container to use. This also can cover a cake. But this is usually what we put cookies in, especially Christmas time. And you separate the layers with like wax paper or something. But really, these cookies are not going to last long enough to have to worry about them getting stale. And since my mother has finally agreed to hold down Cassie so that I can remove the mats from her, we have some newspapers here that have really big sports sections. They're not like local papers. They're like from Philadelphia, and for New York City, like Philadelphia Daily News is like practically half sports. And the back pages are the sports pages. Of course, there's some pages, there's some newspapers here, but the very back page is actual hooker ads. And they don't admit that's what it is, but come on, you know it's what it is. I don't understand how that stuff can even be legal. If you know what you're doing. That's the operating thing. But my father, he originally wanted to be a jockey. And of course, to be a jockey, you can't be a tall person, and my father wasn't. My father was only 3 inches taller than me. But that was one of the things that he wanted to do with his life. And he never got to be a jockey, even though he loved being around horses. But he did get to hang around them. But he didn't really gamble on them too much because supposedly one of our family stories is one time my father took the rent money and he played the horses and lost. And it only happened that one time. My mother kind of put the kibosh on that. But that's how they learned that my father worked hard. He brought home his paycheck. My mother made sure the bills were paid. There you go. Now, believe it or not, YouTube is trying to censor you, Jeff, because you had the gall to say the word ass. Oh my God. And I'm supposed to be offended. And I don't censor people on my channel. That's ridiculous. The only thing that I would censor is if, say, some terrorist were to come on here and he was to try to give directions for some nefarious activity, then obviously that I would censor. But, curse words, I don't care. I don't censor. You could say fuck, you could say cunt, you could say whatever. I don't censor things. And supposedly, as long as you're not saying those words in the first few minutes of the video, you're okay, as long as you don't say things excessively. All right, so now I've got to think of how the heck I'm going to break these out. I guess I got to use this carefully, and I mean carefully because I don't want to damage the non-stick thing. Maybe I should try to use a rubber spatula. I really don't want to scratch that up. It says, yeah, cool completely on pan in about 30 minutes. Remove brittle from pan and break it. I'm going to see if I can lift it out. Jacks. That's not, is that that thing that you don't want to step on bare feet? They look like stars with the balls on them. Trump's turning in, Trump's taking over Biden's job. I'm telling you, there's so much, so much fuck-uppery going on in America. It's scary, man. It's like all these people are sneaking across the border and I can't get my friend here. What the hell? What's the ever living for unlawful carnal knowledge? I don't want to say certain words too loud because my mother, she's so deeply offended. It's like every time I say fuck, it's like an arrow, a dagger is being pierced through her heart and everything. I don't understand why people are offended by words like that. That's what they are? I don't know how they're played. I just know what it's like to step on them in bare feet. There's a lot of things that I didn't learn how to do that other kids did. I didn't really play around with other kids. All right. Oh, you know what I bet would work? Here, a rice paddle. Because I don't want to damage the non-stick thing. Oh, okay. Oh, look, look, look. This is okay. There. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully put this over here. I don't want to get crumbs on the floor or in different things. This is more crumble than brittle, but hey, it's going in here anyway, so. Oh, this chocolatey goodness. I wish you guys could smell it. You know, that's something I'm surprised we haven't invented yet. The closest thing to smell-o-vision, we have the scratch and sniff things, and that has been used in movie theaters for one of the John Waters movies. I forget which one it was, but one of the ones with Divine, the drag queen, was in. But somebody needs to invent smell-o-vision so that you could transmit smells when you're doing like cooking live streams and things. If we could get the technology to do it, and I hope that this happens in my lifetime, I really do. That would be so badass. You know what? Maybe if I use a slightly smaller pan next time, so these were a little bit thicker, maybe this would be a little bit more intact. Lusting's done. Oh, you just want to eat. Hey, nothing wrong with that. The only thing that would be wrong with that is if this caused either diabetes or weight gain. And I'm always afraid of weight gain, even though I am proud to say that the last time that I went to the doctors and they weighed me, they said 106 pounds. I was so stoked because I thought my personal best was 110, and that was my high school weight. And through the years, I know that I looked what I thought amazing at 114, but I always thought that I had creeped up. But I'm actually in better shape than when I was on speed. But then again, that's not really healthy because you can't You're not building lean muscle. Speed eats away at your muscle before it eats away at your fat. So what you are, in essence, is skinny fat. But now I have to admit that since the pandemic started, because I don't get out as much, I don't get the exercise that I normally would through all the walking and stuff. And when it's all really, really hot, I'm not lifting weights and I'm not doing the boxing and stuff because I'm just not, I can't stand to make myself any sweatier than I already am. And then when our cable was shut off, I wasn't able to watch those workout on demand videos on Comcast and stuff. So, and I'm not getting much sleep because I'm always on the internet and everything. I don't wash my makeup off until like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning because I don't know whether somebody's going to want to talk to me on Instant Messenger, and what if they want to talk on video, and what if I just washed my makeup off, then I wouldn't want anybody to see me. So sometimes I've been taken to do what Dolly Parton does. Supposedly she sleeps in her makeup and stuff, and what I'll do is I'll wash all my face, but I'll try to at least keep my eyebrow on so that I look presentable, you know. But I'm just so grateful to have the internet. I don't know what I'd do without it. John Wiley, yeah. It was not Shampoo. No, Shampoo was a Warren Beatty movie that I've never seen. There's a lot of movies I've never seen, but and the thing is, since I only have one computer right now, I'm not able to watch a whole lot of YouTube videos. I've been watching a lot of cooking videos lately. But the thing is, I'm so afraid of weight creeping up on me. So I'm just really, really, really careful about, I probably only eat one meal a day, sometimes two, but, you know. Mm. Mm. A lot of butter in these, you can tell. Yeah, I think I'm going to experiment with replacing some of that butter with peanut butter and see what it's like. Because we have a lot of peanut butter here. And I have at least 3 more of these brittle mixes. But the thing is, if you're using a whole stick of butter each time, that's a lot of butter. So Jeff, since you tune in late, I'm up to 3 weeks without any weed now. Can you believe it? I went 4 days without coffee, and that really sucked. And the thing is, my brother was supposed to go and pick it up, and for various reasons, he couldn't. He only checked at 7-Eleven, and they were totally out. And the thing is, we have 2 7-Elevens. One is a block away, and the other is like 3 blocks away. And then, if you don't mind walking a mile, there's another 7-Eleven. Okay, so we got plenty of 7-Elevens here. And there's a Mexican market a couple of blocks away that has this Cafe Bustelo, and it's pretty cheap. It's like $2.99 for a nice sized brick of it, and it's good. It's like an espresso coffee. And we have a Walgreens pretty close, and the thing is, their prices are pretty bad. It's pretty depressing to see how expensive things are there, but occasionally they will have coffee sales. And sometimes it's these south of the border brands, and it can be quite good. You can do a lot worse than having a coffee from Colombia or Brazil or Mexico or Ecuador. The only time that I really got disappointed in coffee brands, Chase and Sanborn, is nasty. One time there was a 99-cent sale at Rite Aid for Chase and Sanborn coffee. Oh my God, that was nasty, sludgy. Oh, that was just not good coffee. And there was this one coffee brand that I found at, it was hazelnut flavor too, and I love flavored coffees too. And I got this coffee at Dollar Tree, and I wish I could remember the brand, but it tasted like plastic, like it had some kind of poisonous chemical in it or something. That was like the only time I actually didn't finish a container of coffee. It was that bad. But really, if coffee is sold out at one place, there's plenty of places a person can go to get coffee. The only thing is 7-Elevens are cool because they're open 24 hours a day. And that is a real convenience. They have stores that are open, just like the Walgreens closest to us, that's open 24 hours a day also. And I used to think nothing of going to a store between midnight and 3 in the morning. But now with the gang setting up shop and literally hanging out facing my windows and my front door. And then if I go and use the other entrance or exit, then there's no peephole on that one. So I don't know what bathroom might be on the corner or might be out front there. A couple of times I opened the door and I almost booted somebody in the ass, you know. And of course, whenever you open the door, people have to turn around and look. And I don't always want to be noticed, you know, not around here. It's like I can go a block away and everything's different. But it's just this particular area is really sketchy. And like I haven't been able to go to the garden plot because just getting there crossing the street, once you're there, it's real nice and everything, but it's not safe to be able to go there to weed your garden. And I would bring water in all these different size water jugs. I would bring them in my laundry cart and stuff. But with the gangs hanging out here, this is a real big place for their heroin and crack selling and stuff. So it's easier to just hide away and not be seen. Because I think some of these people know that I'm the person that's called on them because they're hanging out my bedroom window. If you're going to hang out underneath my bedroom window at 4 in the morning and I have to listen to your kind of calls and stuff to each other, or you're playing your rap crap underneath my window, I have no tolerance for hip hop. Unless it's Grandmaster Flash or something from decades ago that's harmless and family friendly and stuff. And it's not like I'm in grade 2 shoes, but trust me, if you know me, you know I'm not. But still, I don't want to hear something that's negative and women hating. And just, to me, it just is like these people that are so proud of what they're doing outside, and the $5 crack whores are walking up and down that street and stuff. And people that they yell for my neighbors next door, which I'm pretty convinced that they're selling crack or something. Nobody sells any weed around here. You know, and I don't understand. The state of New Jersey, it's legal. The casinos should sell it. They should sell it right next to the bakery. They have these 24-hour bakeries where you can spend $7 on a tiny sliver of really excellent chocolate cake. The pastry chefs in the casinos are so world class. They are so amazing. If you ever get to eat in the VIP lounges or go to the buffets and stuff, their baked goods and their desserts can be so kick-ass. And well, yeah, because people come here for their vacations, and you got these gamblers, they expect the best, and people that are traveling around the world and stuff, and they know good food, so you have to have food that can compete for people that expect that kind of stuff. But that said, all the casinos, the smoking rooms where for people to smoke tobacco, the fine print, it always says you can't smoke marijuana. And if it's legal here, why the hell not? And the thing is, if you had a vape pen, you just exhale water vapor. You can't smell anything that you're breathing out. So, and but if they would only have, they can have just like they have smoking rooms where you can smoke cigarettes if you don't feel like being on a casino floor. And now that we don't have as many COVID restrictions, now the smoking areas are back open on casino floors. So, but if they would just have marijuana smoking rooms, and then have them right next to the places to sell the baked goods, they would make so much money. And it's ridiculous. It's fully legal for all adults 21 and over in the state of New Jersey. And it's so hard to safely buy good weed. And if you do go by taking a chance with somebody on the street, you're going to be ripped off, or they're going to sell you this crap that's why even bother. All right, well, I'm going to give you a close-up look of what this looks like. Smells wonderful. Feels greasy and buttery, and you can see what it leaves behind on a paddle for rice. Oh, my rice steamer broke. I don't have a rice steamer anymore. So you know what I've been doing? I fill a big thing of water, bring it to the boil, and allow more than enough time for rice to cook, and then I pour it through the strainer. This is how I was watching some of the cooking videos. This Persian guy, that's how he makes his rice. The only thing is he puts a whole lot of salt in the water, then he dumps it all out, then he uses a kitchen sprayer and he rinses half the salt out. And so I'm thinking, you're wasting all that salt. I don't bother salting the water in the rice I cook anyway, because I find no matter how much water I put in, how much salt I put in, I still end up adding a lot of salt to it anyway. So I think it's better not to add salt to it until you're actually eating it. Because that way you don't get too much sodium, and it's healthier for you. Okay, with that, you know what? I think it's been a while since you've seen a cat. Hold that thought. Let me see if I can find. Here's my Cassie. My Cassie who can't hear a word I'm saying. Okay. Now I want you to see her fur. I need to. This is impacted. This could be the hair of one of those crackheads selling whatever outside. This needs to be taken off of her. And this is why I'm going to need. They were telling me, one of my cat rescue people was telling me that it would cost about $200 to take her to the veterinarian to have her shaved, because they would probably have to put her under to do it. And I'm not spending $200 on that. I would rather do it at home. And I don't have metal shavers to do it. So my mother's going to have to hold her down, and I'm going to have to very carefully use scissors to cut these clumps out of her very carefully without breaking the skin, because I'm not spending $200 on it. I have so many important things I have to get that I already discussed. And since you tuned in late, you can watch it from the beginning. I don't want to repeat myself. So. Okay, I'm going to put you down. Complain. Everybody wants to hear you complain. What? Oh, my pretty boy. Look. Yeah, okay, I'm going to put you down. All right. It is now 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. This has been going on for 2 hours, 38 minutes, and 29, 30, 31 seconds. So, if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like me and my content, I encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do, hit that bell so you don't miss anything I post. I will try to get back to my schedule Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Tuesdays will be the cooking stream. Thursdays and Saturdays will be whatever I feel like it. I have a feeling I'm going to be talking some more political commentary. But then again, I would like to edit up that 9/11 footage once I could find out how to get the footage from that cell phone that I still haven't figured out how to transfer the data. But anyway, tune in a couple of days, and I will talk to you again. It was nice talking to you all. Thank you for tuning in. I wish you could taste these cookies. I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to dig in. Have a good night, everybody.